architecture, experiences from the real world. I was lucky, universe wished, and then we have a special person here, Ant Newman, who has done a lot of things in his life. Like I had a pre-talk, and so let's put it easily. It's someone who has done mathematical formulas, helped Formula One cars run well, make sure that factories run well, has traveled a lot, and been in the broadcasting. That's quite a bit of spectrum to be in, and comes from a strong academic mathematical background. And somehow one of the things which held me back from AI is mathematics. Statistics, standard deviations is not something which I would be comfortable with. So I have a great respect for the ones who are able to think about it intuitively. And interestingly, there's all these things doesn't really happen easily. There has been a lot of falls. And then he is also autistic, which he talks about it in a very appreciative manner. And that, I guess, is also helps him look at problems where the deterministic solutions that has existed so far have a way in which the engineers who develop software have built their mindset. And it actually requires a different kind of a thinking. And when they take the same mindset into the real production, it struggles, or there is a lot of resistance in going to production. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to pick Ant's brain and his experience. So thanks, Ant, for joining us. And it was pretty quick, agile. We got this together. And probably this is the first time I have from hi to recording. I think this would be the fastest in my entire 4 years of doing this. Usually it takes at least a week or two.
It's probably just because I'm going on holiday tomorrow. And I think I just clarify for your lovely listeners and watchers. It sounds a little bit chaotic, but I think if you say, I'm a mathematician and I do 95, for the last 20 plus years, I do 95% the same thing with my mathematical modelling, but then the last 5% applies it to different domains. So I'm really one thing, but it's applicable in multiple. Maths is great. Maths is fun. Maths is great. I'm a big advocate for maths. Young girls, more and more children and young girls getting into maths. And separate from this podcast, but the way maths is taught is terrible when it's a real blocker to children. So I wouldn't feel too bad if you think, oh, I don't really get the maths. It's like, it's probably just been taught wrong.
That's true. So let's kind of dive in, and we talk about AI and what works. It's great. Some are scared. But if you had to tell in a funny manner or whatever, what's your most embarrassing AI failure? That something that worked well, and then you take it out to an audience or try to put it in production and it falls flat, and it's like,
yeah, of course.
How did this happen?
And this is very embarrassing, so you'll love it, well, or hate it. It's painful for me. So this is pre-Chat GPT days. This is pre-generative, pre-trained transformers. It's actually before the advent of transformer architecture in 2017. So it's old school natural NLP pipelines. And picture the scene. I've done a couple of bots in Nigeria and Ghana at this point, where for doctors' surgeries, where there's a very small number of doctors, large numbers of patients, and pretty much everyone has a mobile phone. So we're sending out messages to help people remind them to take their medication. Works fine, right? So that's my background. That's where I'm coming from. And then with a colleague in the UK who's a medical doctor and he's head of a department. Oh, do you reckon you could help with machine learning to build me a diagnostic tool? So we had a little bit of a play around, and we've had some very good initial results with using CNNs for helping with diagnosis on cardio scans. So we're getting more and more excited. It's all going well. You know it's going to go wrong when you feel like everything's going well. So sort of more general diagnostic tool. So we made a prototype, and it was brilliant. And it's going to auto learn, as the doctors feed back in, it auto learns. And this is really it wasn't in production, don't worry, no one got hurt, just to disclaimer before we start. It was just side by side. He was running it locally side by side with diagnosis. And it's kind of, think of it as an early, early sort of AI assistant in the side, making diagnosis recommendations. Starts off, first few weeks, brilliant. And it's learning as the doctors go, and they're all putting information in. It's learning and it's reinforcing, and it's good. About 7 weeks into the pilot, suddenly, no matter what the symptom, the AI recommended action was euthanasia. So this was my first lesson in how you set the constraints. These doctors are coming to me, oh my God, this is recommending we euthanize. Patient's pregnant, euthanasia. Patient has a cold. They just experimenting at everything now. Patient has a cold, euthanasia. And we're like, what's happening? And then we looked, and when I dug into it, one of the parameters that we'd set of the things to prioritize is one of the key things that a doctor's trying to do, among others, is relieve pain. And this AI doctor's assistant had worked out that I don't know whether in its own little AI brain world had just become exhausted with trying to be a doctor. It's a very difficult job, and it's just like, stuff this. Like my sister when she was young, and my mum asked her to cook, so she burned everything until she wasn't asked to cook anymore. I don't know whether it's having a hissy fit or whether it just thought, oh, this is the. Joking aside, really, it learned the only way it could always have an outcome that was desirable was by euthanasia, because it solves every single patient problem. No more pain. And that analogy actually holds quite true to today, where people are trying to build their own AI agents. And we were talking about yesterday as well with, trying to score confidence and things like that. So this thread, which started with me having very significant medical doctors calling me going, why is your work recommending we kill people? Yeah, so I don't know. Can you think of anything more embarrassing than that for a product?
No, I guess. Yeah.
It's trying to save lives, and we're murdering people now.
It's very interesting, right? The biggest problem with the situation that you said, that it's not wrong. It's not right either. Right?
It's doing what I asked it to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges with AI, right? It's wrong, but it's not right, kind of it. It's
confidently wrong.
I get reminded of the paperclip problem, right? The famous paperclip. You ask AI to optimize for paper clips, and then where it ends up, right? Destruction of humanity, and then it will bomb all the buildings, take all the steel from the houses, and then start making paper clips with that. I think the only way it can achieve its goal is to make sure all humans are dead. So it's kind of related to that.
I jumped the gun there, I'm afraid. I went with Clippy Microsoft in the 90s, which no matter what you were doing, it seems you're trying to write a suicide note. Can I help you with that? I guess. But yeah, both are examples.
Yeah, so this was one of the initial thought experiments or things that was done with AI when they had tried it, right? Gave it find the most efficient way to make a paperclip and make maximum possible paperclips. The world is at your hands. And it went off in this direction. So it's I'm going to break down skyscrapers, take the steel from that, and I'm going to make paperclip with that. So it's very interesting.
In demo conditions, you control everything, right? The inputs are clean, the timing is predictable, a human is present who's run it 10 times, and maybe subconsciously our cognitive biases are quietly discarding the bad outputs, because we're focusing on the good. And then in production, you let it loose, and none of that's true. The inputs are noisy, the timing is brutal. Nobody's standing by to curate the results, and somebody forgot to tell this poor AI that humans and humanity and civilization isn't on the menu.
Yes, correct. Have you watched the movie Bedazzled? It's Brendan Fraser's. It's a very old
and Liz Hurley.
Yeah.
Liz Hurley's the devil, and every wish always has a caveat.
Yeah. So that movie had a very profound impact on me. It's you got to be really careful about what you wish. And that movie it's funny, but it actually says if your intent or the goal is not clear, you might end up with something completely. And I guess AI is a great environment where that could happen, right? You make a wish, and then, so it's just for the audience sake, there's a wish he says, like, I would like to be powerful, I'd like to have a beautiful wife. And then he turns out to be a drug lord in Ecuador. Rich, powerful. Everybody's shooting at him.
You couldn't make that movie today, at least not with anyone who's tried using like Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, because they are aware now of how specific you have to be when you're making your prompting. So now, so obviously what you're telling is it happens in different parts, or in different areas, or different capabilities that we do. And in architecture, we call it as anti-patterns. Some things which patterns are good things that you would want to repeat, and anti-patterns are something which we keep repeating. Even if you're conscious, we repeat it. And to give a concrete example, the most popular anti-pattern, which has been hitting software for decades, and I will go ahead and say it will continue to hit software in future, is hard coding of strings. When you move from one environment to another, it would take away your sleep. And this anti-pattern would continue. You really can't. Maybe with AI it can, but it's a constant. So that's why I call it an anti-pattern. I think so. Maybe next year it will, right? Maybe there's some native coding, but if you're using Claude Code, I've got an open, very easy to talk about because there's an open repository out there called the PDA platform. It's on my GitHub, and in that, so there's some other people are contributing, and they're finding it very quick to develop the AI. But that's because all the things have to be I as a human architected the test rules and the constraints.
That it is using, I see in the logs that Claude Opus 2.6 has been used. And I'm just going back. Hey, I just made the key now, couple of years back, couple of hours back. I haven't given this key to anybody else. How is it? Who is it using? And I really got worried. Like, what's happening? Then I actually go a little deeper. Then I realized that Claude has this interesting command line called /insight, which basically tells you how did your discussion go, what it did right, what you did right, what you can do better, what I could do better, like that. /insight is hard-coded to Opus 4.6. So when I did /insight, it overrode my settings and it picked up Opus. And now I can't really blame Claude for it because they haven't really designed it for.
That's your guardrails. That's your fault. I'm entirely with you. It's your fault. Your ignorance in this situation has led to this, and that's the problem, right? When we're doing this for security, we're all going to be ignorant of something. We can't be abreast of everything. Sorry, go ahead.
I wouldn't leave Anthropic off the hook so easily, because even within the platform, I have chosen a model Sonnet 4.6. Why did you decide to run Opus without asking for my permission? You're making me spend more. Your promise is different from what you're delivering. You said whatever I asked you, you will do with Sonnet 4.6. Why did you switch to 4.6?
Is it in your general instructions? Is it in your general instructions to always pick a model unless there's a really good reason not to, or guardrail?
Yeah, when you
if it is,
work on a cloud session. Yeah.
Then I'm with you. Pick a bone with them.
But it's interesting, right? There are certain things this pattern keeps repeating. So the question which I was curious, and they have their own way. So it's like there is this concept called Liddy's effect, which says that any system will go back to its old, which has been doing for a long period of time. For example, is COVID. It shook the world upside down. But now if you look at it, most of the companies are going back to that thing like come to office, you got to work, come 3 days office, 4 days office. And in India, it's, I don't know how much it's there, but here it's like, let's go back to office. That's the only way we could do. Is a classical example of Liddy's effect happening, where systems tend to go back to where they were stable, and something new, even though good, is fine, will find it hard to sustain. So the reason why I asked this question is, you've been with AI even before Gen AI or these things came up, right? So what's that one failure or one pattern or anti-pattern that keeps showing up, but it's not popularly talked about? I wouldn't even call it a white elephant in the room, because white elephant is somebody knows, but this is something like, it's too obvious, but people keep missing it. What is that one or two things that you would pick up, which can be built in, which will increase the predictability of safety of AI systems?
So, for safety specifically,
or it could be predictability. I think it's
well, I think
you can pick either.
When you first started asking the question, because of course if we want to get into better measuring of confidence in edge cases, we could in within your things. But I'd say 2 things which actually feeds into that. It's now everyone's using AI for things they don't need to use AI for. It's like I saw someone on a Substack the other day who'd said, this is how to set up Claude, and they set up with Claude Opus 4.6 and all these settings. It's like, what? Every time you want to retrieve like a cell, you're going to burn a sun or a star worth of energy just to do that? So my token usage for comparative tasks with the way I'm set up is about somewhere between 10 and 20% or 25% of some of my colleagues. But that's because I step out, I layer it, so my agents are doing the absolute minimum decisions, very narrow, very guardrailed. So I have a lot more agents, but they have very, very restrictive. Because as soon as they're not too restrictive, they can, there's all the other issues. And I have deterministic modelling in between. So what I see is, it's because you can go to 80% of the functionality, or you can go to 95% of the functionality so quickly with AI. But actually the hard part is doing that. The bit which makes it safe is, whether it's safety or affordable, people seem to be forgetting completely about other forms of engineering. People are forgetting about forms of AI as well, of machine learning. So if you think about it, so the attention paper, the transformer paper dropped in 2017. In 2016, the GAN paper dropped, generative adversarial networks. So where you've got discriminatory and generative neural networks acting like an arms race and pre-training each other. Like, these are all related. And then in 2017 as well, you've got GATs, which are graph attention networks, but GAN was taken, so GAT, which is like a graph, but not every, but there's a meaning and significance and weight, so not every branch is equal. And even the transformer architecture, So what people have forgotten, people just use like GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers. One of my best uses of a transformer was, I've gone a little bit tangent here, but I'll try and bring it all back. One of my best uses of transformer in 2021 was climate modelling, traditionally using recurrent neural networks. But there's a vanishing gradient problem with the input. I won't go into the technical aspects of how transformers solve that, but when I used a transformer, and this is climate modelling for a long time, I had a significant improvement in the models because it removes the vanishing gradient problem. So even the fundamental AI architecture behind these pre-trained transformers that we chat with on ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc., the fundamental technology there can be used elsewhere. So one, we're forgetting that we can use it for more things than just this. Two, just because it is there and is good at it and is easy and it's quick, doesn't mean you have to use it when it's concerns of safety or cost. And three, just so I think I just did 2 points, safety and cost. I've done myself over with that.
Yeah, let me just, from what you hear, let me give what I've understood and what I did yesterday. I've been learning options trading, derivative trading. I've been doing that. So one of the things I did is yesterday over a coffee, I had actually taken a snapshot of positions that I want to take, and I asked Claude, tell me what's my best case scenario, how much will I lose, how much will I gain, kind of stuff, right? And it generated a chart, it calculated what I would lose and what I gain. And then there are some recommendations like, this looks good, maybe you need to think of this like that. So there is two parts to the answer that gave. One is purely mathematical, and the other is a reasoning and explanation bit. And what you're telling is, when you design AI solutions, the part which can be done, pure maths, right? This is what you sold, this is what you will lose, and this is the range in which you're working, your break even is here, break even is there. You do not need AI for that. All you need is simple plain code in whatever language that you like. But the reasoning bit about what you could do better, what are your options, is where AI would come. Constantly reminding ourselves that, but I did the silly thing of asking Claude to do the whole bit. Whereas in an actual solution, you needn't go in that direction. Would I be right if I'm kind of connecting what you said with what I said?
100%. And obviously, I work in like broadcasting now, so time to process is very important because we're trying to do things in milliseconds. But if you're going to scale something, it matters. For example, Raham said, right, knowledge and knowing where to apply it. I don't think there's two areas where AI, because it's obviously interpolating, there's two areas where it falls down. I have found it absolutely useless at trying to help me do more advanced mathematics, to try and discover new. If anyone's following me, I publish. It's my hobby, it's my passion. I publish papers periodically, so you can find those wherever. But so, for example, something everyone will relate to. You're in a business, and you're using AI, and from that, it's helping you generate a graph. When AI is helping generate graphs, it normalizes. So when you're looking for your similarity, whichever metric you're using, let's go with cosine similarity. For your demo, it doesn't really matter, but you're just exporting it and you're just doing cosine similarity because you're proving it works. But if it's normalized it, cosine similarity is the dot product of, so it's a dot b over the modulus of ab. But the modulus of 1 is 1, so it's no longer a dot b over the modulus of a times b, it's a dot b divided by 1. So why are you making if you really care about your scale budget, why are you doing why are you doing a dot b and mod a and mod b and then timesing them together and then dividing it? You're doing all these operations, you could just do one. So it doesn't make much difference to your little demo, but when you go at scale, those things add up. So that knowing where to add your insight really does make a difference, because I know people are getting worried about these AI is going to do everything, but for real deep knowledge work, I think there's still a massive role for, as you were saying, the insight, right? And knowing and also not just for operationally, but knowing when it is confidently wrong.
So shifting gears a bit over here. So when I looked at your site, Tortoise, you give some services. One of the services which I saw is actually live titling to feeds that comes, and then I'm assuming that there are some kind of agents at work over there doing stuff, real time, real stuff. Now, today, anything and everything is an agent. So the moment, even before the problem is defined, people will say agentic AI.
Yeah.
I haven't even defined what my problem is. Hey, my Excel isn't saving. Agentic AI. I have a disk full. Have agentic AI. Did you even clean your recycle bin? Did you check flush your cash? Now,
Hey,
that
I'm
being
busy.
said,
I'm lazy. I don't have to do this. You want me to think? Who do you think you are asking me to think, Mr. Excel? You meant to think for me.
So one of the things is that we say that we are, oh, I have an agent for this, right? Like, so the two problems here. Do you really need an agent? I think we talked about that a little bit. Now, assuming that, sure, we have an agent, but is the agent good enough? How do we really know that, right? I know there are evaluation frameworks, but there's a lot of gap between theory and practice. We know evals are there. You can have one-time eval, you can have every time a production goes eval, then you can have a runtime eval, which works constantly. But evals, again, is costly. It's not that it's cheap. And the biggest problem with evals is that in the traditional world, when I've been doing this for 25 years, you had a test case. I give two inputs, X and Y. Let's call it sum of X1, Y for easier sake. I know that the output is going to 4. I will check if X is 2 and Y is 2, then the returned value is 4. I can do a strong test on this. Here, it can be 4.1, 3.9, and I'm still kind of good. And only if it becomes 4.5 or 3.5, I'm wrong. Now, this is not something that we are used to. So, in your work, right, what are the things that agent is fairly a new generation word in the AI evolving, if you say, but then it is about my AI models, how ready are they? How mature are they? And one thing I've clearly understood is there's nothing like mature. It's like us. I can never say I'm fit or I'm fully mature. There's always something more to be done. But how, and I see that model that you have, agent readiness maturity model. How does this connect to know where I stand so that I can do proper risk mitigation? How do I know where do I stand so that I can plan for the next steps? And I can do my trade-offs between cost, performance, depending on what level. Not everything would need level 10 maturity. There could be some things level 2 maturity is just works fine. So
yes, of course.
Can you,
Yeah. So I think everyone comes right, and today it's 2026, and people go, I want an agent to do this. I want agents to do that. Okay, so the first question I go is, are you ready? And it's not like the old question of, you have to fix all of your data before I'll do anything to start. I'm just asking where you are in the journey, because the question is, what's your flaw, and what do you need it for? If you need it for mission critical, and if you want agents running nuclear power station, that's very different requirements to I want agents to help me generate whatever content for my shop, or I want an agent to, I'm probably going to see these errors when they come up, but I want an agent also watching to co-pilot with me to do that. So you're not thinking about how good it is at its best, you're thinking it. So this came about because we've got a US aviation partner where we do the AI and data science and mathematics, and because it's aviation and it's all the legal stuff, they do the data engineering, and they are a regional airline, and 3 of the big airlines, which make up 78% of the market, so you can guess which 3 of the 4 they are, use this company as like a test incubator. So they sort of trial out new technology locally, and then when it works, they expand it. So they've come to, work together, and I'm giving them a service. So it's for these agents, so and scheduling and other things. So this company come to me and say, what can we build? And I say, what we need to do is we need to find out what they can handle. There's no point, we could build the best agentic system in the world, but if they can't handle it, then there's no point building that. It's useless. You've built a white elephant. Let's not build a white elephant. So actually, this was in late November. I went to their engineering team and I asked them, go out, find some capability maturity models. So, for agent maturity, readiness, and, and then come back with the results, and then we'll talk about what you can do. And they went out, and a few weeks later, they come back to me and go, we can't actually find an agent readiness maturity model. I'm like, what? Everyone's talking about agents. There must be some open framework. So, and I couldn't find it either. So I wrote one, because I had, this is a blocker for the work, and it looks across various. I know this could be a technical podcast on its own, so I won't get too technical. But it looks at all the various factors you need to be ready to deploy, and it's on a principle of, and it's so from 0 to 4, and 4 being like you're ready to host like nuclear, monitor a nuclear power plant, and 0 is like I'm piloting in a sandbox. But the thing is, across the 4 or 5 or the different features, depending on, there's industry specific versions of the model, which I've got as compared to the open source one. According to the different features, if I'm 3 on one, but 2 on the others, I'm not level 3, I'm level 2, because you're only as good as where you're across the board. So that shows you, and then there's all within the framework, that tells you then what you can do. So there's no point starting that, because that needs level 3. But it also means if you're 3303, then we've got one weakness, and we only have to address that, and very quickly we'll be ready for level 3. So it helps in multiple ways, and it's the way I've written it. If you're in it, once you've got the evidence together, an informed product manager, project manager can fill in I've actually got. They have to get in contact if they want to do it. I've got like an app they can fill in, which about 30 to 45 minutes, and they'll know exactly what they can and can't do. And that's not a product we sell. It's free for everyone to use. It's just so I'm not paying on the back end. If it got popular, and if it got really popular, and I wake up one day and find I've got like sort of $500,000 like bill sitting in my Claude API. But it's a lot of deterministic modeling as well. So it's a lot of different things.
So do you check, just piqued my curiosity here, is it around like how well can you handle a failure, or what is your capability in terms of if you want to roll back a business, what do you do? Ultimately, all these things contribute to a business, right? Do you have business level monitoring? Do you have process level monitoring? Where do you stand? Can you actually say that, hey, my backup is not working? Do you even know that your backup is not working? Do you have a capability to do that today? Without that, it's very hard for me to build a agent which will do necessary backups. Oh, but I don't know whether backups happen today or not. We don't have any observability. Is that something on those lines?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think about how the best way to describe it is. It's at its heart, it's a structured framework that assesses whether your organization's ready, like we've said, and it's through 4 dimensions. So it takes you through the technical controls. So that would be like your guardrails, validation, monitoring, testing, technical safeguards, and it's just ensuring that the agents operate within the defined boundaries that you require. So monitoring is governance and accountability, and capability and culture as well. And then I said there's 5 maturity levels from 0 to 4. It's experimenting, obviously sandbox, supervised, that's like human approvals required for consequential actions. Reliable, so that's automated operation with comprehensive controls. Resilient, advanced recovery and adaptation, so suitable for customer facing. And mission critical, so no single points of failure, ready for safety critical operations. And I guess, but it's, you can read the whole framework yourself, but I guess that what it's doing is it's assessing this weakest link principle. So your overall maturity is defined by your lowest dimension score. So if you're level 4 in technical controls, but level 1 in resilience, then your overall level is level 1, because that's where you are. Does that make more sense?
I think it makes absolute sense, because I think even in the old world, I think this classical anti-pattern used to happen, right? Can I write a web application? Oh yeah, I know Java, I know how to host it, so I can write a web application, right? Kind of stuff. Or the worst place where I've seen a lot of money go down the Rhine is actually business intelligence. The amount of money that's gone inside business intelligence, building data lakes, data warehouse, snowflakes, this pattern, that pattern, but the
I mean,
business has
it's
no sense for it. They can't use anything out of it. You built a great data lake. Now that companies did, I think I can tell it. Silicon Valley Bank, 3 years, they spent a couple of millions of dollars building their data lake. And guess who used it? I guess at best 100 users.
so. I mean, it's common sense, right? It's today. Everybody wants these AI agents. The C-suite want them, and what's the stat? 95% of AI pilots don't make it to production, or something like this. It's insane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's lots of reasons why, but they don't make it to pilot, they don't make it to production because actually there's that one edge case which is mission critical, which we can't actually address. That's a valid reason not to make it to production. Or we haven't even gotten speaking about the forthcoming EU AI Act and the different frameworks in with NIST AI in the US and Texas and everything doing its different, and Colorado doing their own things, and the regulatory framework. It's probably another case of why the EU rules the world with framework with these things. But back to this point, there's loads of reasons why your AI pilot won't make it to production. But if the reason is that you didn't spend 45 minutes doing a questionnaire to work out where your gaps were, so you just go ahead, you steam ahead, full steam ahead, choo, and it's then you get to, and then when it's deployed in production, it fails because it's not a capability problem, it's not a reliability problem. The agent's technically sophisticated, but your organization lacks the controls or processes or whatever, and you could have foreseen that and addressed it before you started. And it's just a waste of time. If you want to move fast, is what's the phrase? Like when you're training to run, go slow to go fast. Well, Tortoise, I'm obviously being autistic. I take things very steady, and it's Aesop's fable. Slow and steady wins the race, right? The one thing I don't do in my business is I think it's a feature of my personality. Maybe consider me to, but the one thing I don't do is arrive at a deployed product and realize there's an organizational reason why it can't be deployed. And it matters. Failed deployments erode trust in the AI across the organization. It's a waste of investment. Operational incidents where agents fail in customer facing or safety critical contexts have serious or reputational damage. It's a competitive disadvantage to not spend a day or two looking at your business. But it's not sexy.
I had this question about why Tortoise AI. This question answered that question, why it is the Tortoise AI, and the age-old story of the hare and the tortoise that we have read, right? I could now connect that why you call yourself Tortoise AI. It's not necessarily slow, but it's actually predictable and
it's steady. It's more than that, though. It's also, so I've, as you know from our previous conversation with me being autistic, I have to take, if I don't take a break every sort of 6 or so hours, I get so tired that I can't even speak sometimes. So it's just too much. So I have to take these regular breaks, and 45 minutes to an hour and a half, 2 or 3 times a day at the minimum. So I have to behave like a tortoise. I have to take it steady. I literally cannot do anything else. But going slow wins the race, right? Everyone knows this. You go into a marathon, you run the first 10 miles too hard, and then you blow up and you can't finish. Life is full of examples of a tortoise winning.
It's very interesting when you told about are you ready? And I remember in one of my engagements during my Microsoft consulting days, there was this company who wanted to have a knowledge management system. So it's good. It's like they have all their documents, works, blogs, internal to the company in one single place. It'll search it, index it, and you can get it. And when I asked them, what is your P's? How many P's do you want? How many nines do you want for RTO and RPO? They said 4 nines. It said 4 nines. People have other work to do. Probably once a week, they will come to the knowledge management portal to pick something. It's not like everybody is there wanting to learn every single day. And if the knowledge management portal is not there, the company is going to come to a standstill. Even 2 nines should be more than enough, or even a 9, 1 9, 90% of the time it's up. It should be fine. They just couldn't understand what I was telling. It's this is no. Ours is very, for them, their business is critical because they are from the knowledge management team. But for the organization, the knowledge management team isn't critical to the business. The manufacturing line is critical.
Yeah.
I think that leads to the next part, right? I think it's what happens is when people operate at a lower level, it's like their world is the universe, right? And within that, everything is important. Like if I don't, so it's something like if my entire world is my house, then if I don't keep the cup in the kitchen after my coffee, the whole world has become chaotic. I'll get worked up. And they're like, how is it here? The coffee's all dried up. It should have been in the sink, cleaned up, or in the water kind of thing, because my scope is restricted, right? Now, that's again a problem or a challenge by itself when you're designing larger solutions. Here, you need a higher perspective also. Either it's that person elevating them to different thinking or getting in another person to do. That kind of leads us to a even more interesting question. When somebody is operating at a higher level, let's say the CTO comes up, and that particular team which developed the agent is fine, but the business is still worried because it's still, they hear it's still unpredictable kind of a thing, and then it's there, it's gone beyond demo, it's in a pilot stage, it's rolled out to a pilot set of users, but they are holding back from really releasing it to the public because at the CTO level, he doesn't want to look stupid in front of the board or the CEO. And I think that's another place where a lot of things are slowing down. Let's just check, let's just make this. So what is that one thing that, I mean, there are many things, but let's say the first thing that you would tell them is you got to move, but move with caution and look for these things. And you don't move, it's kind of obvious now. You're going to die, right? The competition is really moving fast. So I think that question is easy. But what's the thing that they can hold on to move forward quickly?
So I think this situation's arisen because of 3 factors. Number 1, there's a failure at the CTO level of leadership to create the environment in the first place where people are so focused on their local unit that they're not seeing the bigger picture, and maybe the rewards process, it doesn't recognize that too. So I think, first of all, let's blame the CTO, right? So if you're a leader who's going to your CTO, I'm on your side. Just remember that before my next point. Now, if you're going to your CTO and he's asking you this, it's your fault. You're too late. There's already doubt. You've let doubt creep into the business. You should have been prepared, I think. So when you're talking about so if he's asking you, so this will still happen and we can get to that. But I think what you should have been doing is, if you are piloting an AI product, then one thing to do is run it alongside the users. So when I was in retail, I ran in 2018, I was running an AI alongside the buyers who, buy, they've got very sophisticated jobs and they buy all these products for 24-week cycles. And I was learning from their data and making recommendations. And I ran it for one cycle alongside them, and I ran it and I didn't introduce. So the CTO came to me and said, I want it now, introduce. I said, no. So this is my example. He said, oh, your data is going to be good. We should introduce this now. This is going to improve our profit margin. I said, if you force it on people, they'll resent it. They'll be compliant. The data might not be able to be trustworthy. So I managed to persuade him. You have to have sometimes if you come with a bit of capital, it's easier. I just made him some money, so He was like trusting my judgment. If you don't have that, it is harder. I do recognise that. So I came to him and I said, let's run it side by side for 2 cycles. Cycle 1, they're seeing it. Cycle 2, if last cycle you had followed the recommendation, you would have visa on performance related pay. You would have X percentage more money because this made a better decision than you. And suddenly we were having, I think it was like 80% voluntary uptake of a tool. Oh, so I was just saying, if you have some capital, you sometimes have to go with, look, you brought me in to direct this. If you're speaking of CTO, maybe you're director of a department. You brought me in as the expert on this. And this is my expert opinion, and this is why. And also, you have to address all of their worries. Now, I think you should have addressed their worries before they'd ever raise their worries with you. You should be, part of your job is anticipating that and being comprehensive at the outset to make sure, don't get excited by the ceiling of the demo. Think about the floor of it in production and from the beginning in the way you're designing. Just keep that in mind all the time. But then if you really, really do, if they don't trust you, then sometimes, sadly, you also have to recognise that maybe that's their fault in their environment and there's nothing you can do. I'm not going to sit here and advise somebody to stay in a situation where there's no hope of it ever changing. You know, don't flog a bad horse, I think is the phrase. Sometimes you have to switch, but with a combination of prep, you can do a lot.
In derivatives tradings, there's always this thing that when you have a risk, what's your hedge? And in this case, the hedge has to be made before the bet is placed. If I have to give
nothing breeds confidence in leadership. Nothing at all breeds confidence in your leadership. And every time they ask you a question, you have an immediate, fully formed, pre-prepared response. So they realise you're not reacting to them, you've already thought about it. Once a leader's asked 3 or 4 times when you first go to a company and you're always ready, they leave you alone. Because they trust you and they're not worried. So building that trust early.
It sounds so simple from a phrase perspective. Build trust with your team, with your seniors, but I think
it's hard work. Do the boring bit. It's do the boring bit of do all the boring bits of work. What I'm saying is do the 80% that is worth 20% of the value.
And it's not that building trust is like words. I'm there for you. No, it's about building that data. It's building about that mechanisms and evidences for that. I think that's how. And I think that there's also another key point that you said. You do it 2-3 times, then you build trust. After that, your life becomes easier.
And you cannot be proactive about building trust with your leadership, or you can a little bit, but you can't really, because the way you build trust is you're prepared for anything. So you prepare all of this stuff, and they're not going to ask you about 99% of what you've ever done, but it's there if they ever ask you about 1 or 2 bits. So you have to basically be so comprehensively prepared that when you are asked, I mean, I just run like an agent on for my leadership. So if I ask a question and it's there, it just automatically replies.
Got it. So it's kind of interesting if I have to summarize what you just said, right? Build your system or yourself or the solution that you're doing. I'm not telling just about the agent itself, but it's the process, the readiness of the people, everything together. You make it trustworthy. Building trust will happen automatically whenever there is a doubt arises. The system will respond in a trustworthy manner. Whether it's somebody responding to a query, somebody having something went wrong, and the system has to respond to setting it right. So if somebody is dithering, then it points to one fact that you have doubts in your own trustworthiness of the system. So you got to work on increasing it. Great. I think that sets us. Thanks, and I think it was a great conversation, and we have lot more things that we haven't explored, and this is just 20% of whatever you wanted. I mean, there's more from the place that you come from. I would like to hear more from you. I mean, there are enough and more
Well,
domains.
let's see if your listeners want to hear more first. This may be a complete failure. They may be like, no, never have him back. I hated it.
We'll
Uh,
check that. And in some cases, I get a little selfish also, right? When I do this, I kind of say that, is it worth my time? Do I learn something? Is it enjoyable? So I'm very selfish. So if I think this is worth it, then I do it, and I do have an intention for the audience, and eventually it will work out. And I will listen to them also, but it's good either ways. But
it's
thanks for your time. And so quick, we actually planned for an hour. It's 2 hours. Very generous of you with your time. And let's connect again maybe 3 4 weeks later, and then depending on issue we could pick. I know there are very other interesting topics that you had suggested, and I would love to definitely go deeper into that. Let's do that. Any, not exactly a closing thoughts, but teaser thoughts for the audience that you would like regarding the work that you do, your company, or generally how to approach words of wisdom, scar
sure.
wounds.
So first of all, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I don't really know where you want to go next. I know a lot of people are interested. So my company, we're trying to reimagine how we do work. So we do things like targets of no more than 10% of your time in meetings, rolling over the last 6 weeks. We have a 4-hour window each day where all meetings have to be. So you have protected deep work time. And loads of parents love working for us because we're almost entirely remote, and they can do the school run. So a lot of people like to speak to me about the future of work, but we'll go where you want to go. Sometimes people want to speak about neurodiversity, sometimes about... A lot of people want to speak about Formula One. That's a lot of the time, but...
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. There's nothing better than dopamine, right? And formula,
yeah.
the
I
most
mean,
rewarding chemical that existed.
if people have questions, they can find me on LinkedIn or on Substack. I think you'll send out all the details. So yeah, it's... LinkedIn's good
Yeah.
for technical, Substack's good for like sort of radical productivity and radical inclusivity. So they can choose their lane, including ignoring me as well. That's also a very good use of your time as well. It's whatever you want.
Thank you. Thanks, and it was lovely talking to you. We'll catch up again.
Cheers.
Cheers.